Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cowboys and Cattle. In our last episode, we went back in time to see what happened to Lou after Amy kicked her out of Heartland. Lou was initially devastated, considering leaving Alberta entirely. But she couldn't abandon Amy. Nathan's desperate efforts to drive her away suggested he was hiding something major. Lou decided to investigate Nathan from scratch without him interfering. She reconnected with Marcus Chen, a private investigator friend who agreed to help with discreet surveillance. After 3 weeks, Marcus discovered something shocking. Nathan goes to remote warehouse locations late at night, demonstrating counter-surveillance awareness that suggests criminal activity. Marcus told Lou this is bigger than private investigation. She needs to take it to the FBI. They compiled a comprehensive report with all his documentation. The episode ended with Lou preparing to contact federal law enforcement, refusing to give up on Amy despite everything. If you've been impressed by Lou's determination, please hit that like button and subscribe. Today's episode shows Lou taking the next critical step. She's traveled to New York, where Georgie is living, and she's about to walk into an FBI field office with evidence against Nathan Price. Lou expects skepticism, dismissal, maybe even ridicule for what might seem like paranoid accusations from a bitter sister. But what she's about to discover will change everything. The FBI already knows about Nathan Price, and what they know about him is far more terrifying than Lou ever imagined. This is episode 42, and Lou Fleming is about to learn just how dangerous the man living with her sister really is. New York, Georgie's apartment. Lou stood in front of the bathroom mirror in Georgie's small New York apartment, staring at her reflection. She looked tired, dark circles under her eyes, stress written across her features. In her hands, she held a thick folder containing everything Marcus had compiled: surveillance photos, location data, timeline documentation, observations about Nathan's counter-surveillance behavior. Today was the day. Today she was going to walk into the FBI's New York field office and present her case against Nathan Price. Georgie appeared in the doorway behind her, concern evident on her young face. "Are you sure about this? The FBI is... that's serious."
I know it's serious, but Georgie, everything Marcus documented, the nighttime meetings at remote locations, the way Nathan checks for people following him, the pattern of deception and manipulation, it all points to something criminal. Something bigger than I can handle alone.
But what if they don't believe you? What if they think you're just a bitter sister making accusations? Lou had been terrified of exactly that possibility for days. She'd been dismissed by Amy, painted as paranoid and vindictive. What if the FBI did the same thing? What if they looked at her evidence and saw a woman obsessed with destroying her sister's relationship rather than someone genuinely trying to expose a criminal?
Then at least I'll know I tried everything. I can't just give up on Amy and Lindy because I'm scared of being dismissed again.
She turned to face Georgie, who looked worried but proud. "You're really brave, you know that? After everything she said, after being kicked out and made to look like the villain, you're still fighting for her."
She's my sister, and she's in danger whether she knows it or not. I have to do this.
Lou gathered the folder and her bag. Georgie had taken the day off from her internship to be moral support, and they left the apartment together, heading for the FBI's New York field office in Lower Manhattan. The subway ride felt endless. Lou kept rehearsing what she'd say, how she'd present the evidence, how she'd convince federal agents to take her seriously. By the time they reached the building, her hands were shaking slightly. "I'll wait out here for you. You've got this, Lou." Lou took a deep breath, squeezed Georgie's hand, and walked through the doors into the building. FBI New York field office. The security screening process was thorough and intimidating. Lou had to explain she was there to report suspected criminal activity, which led to her being directed to a waiting area where she sat for nearly 30 minutes, the folder of evidence clutched in her lap. Finally, a woman in her early 50s approached, professional business attire, FBI credentials on a lanyard, sharp eyes that assessed Lou immediately. "Miss Fleming? I'm Special Agent Patricia Williams. I understand you have information about suspected criminal activity."
Yes, thank you for seeing me. I know this might sound strange, but I have evidence that my sister's boyfriend is involved in something illegal, possibly dangerous.
Agent Williams's expression remained neutral but attentive. "Why don't you come with me and we can discuss this properly?" Lou followed her through secure doors into an interior corridor, then into a small conference room. Agent Williams gestured for Lou to sit, then took the chair across from her. Start from the beginning. Tell me everything. Lou took a breath and began. She explained Nathan's appearance in Amy's life, his controlling behavior, how he'd systematically isolated Amy from family. She described the surveillance bugs she'd found and how Nathan had framed her, creating false evidence that made Lou look guilty and drove her away from Heartland. Agent Williams listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes. Then Lou opened the folder and spread out Marcus's surveillance documentation. The photos of Nathan's vehicle at remote warehouse locations in the middle of the night. The timestamps showing regular pattern Tuesdays and Fridays around midnight. The observations about Nathan's counter-surveillance awareness.
A private investigator friend did this surveillance for me, he said. Nathan's behavior, the late-night meetings, the checking for tails, the patterns, all suggest criminal activity. He recommended I bring this to you because it's beyond what private citizens can investigate safely.
Agent Williams studied the photos carefully, her expression shifting from polite attention to focused interest. She pulled several photos closer, examining the locations and timestamps. Where is this?
Outside Hudson, Alberta. That's where my sister lives. Where Nathan lives with her.
Agent Williams was quiet for a long moment, studying the documentation with an intensity that made Lou's heart pound. Finally, the agent looked up. Miss Fleming, I need to make a phone call. Can you wait here for a few minutes?
Of course.
Agent Williams left the room with several of the surveillance photos. Lou sat alone, anxiety building. Was this good or bad? The agent's reaction had been more engaged than Lou expected, but what did it mean? 10 minutes passed, then 15. Lou was starting to worry she'd been forgotten when the door opened again, but this time Agent Williams wasn't alone. She was accompanied by two other agents, a man and a woman, both looking serious. Miss Fleming, this is Special Agent Morrison and Special Agent Chen from our Organized Crime Division. I'd like you to tell them everything you just told me. Lou's mouth went dry. Organized Crime Division. That sounded much more serious than she'd anticipated, but she repeated her story, showed the evidence, explained Marcus's surveillance findings. Agent Morrison Turb, a woman in her mid-40s with sharp features and an intense gaze, listened carefully. When Lou finished, Morrison exchanged glances with her colleagues. Miss Fleming, what I'm about to tell you is sensitive information related to an ongoing federal investigation. Before I continue, I need to know, are you prepared to potentially participate in this investigation? To work with us in gathering intelligence about Nathan Price? Lou hadn't expected that question. She'd thought she'd present her evidence and the FBI would take it from there. But they were asking her to participate?
Yes. Whatever it takes to protect my sister and expose Nathan for what he is.
Good, because the evidence you've brought us is extremely valuable. More valuable than you probably realize. She pulled out a tablet and brought up files, iOS official FBI documents with photos, charts, names, dates. For the past 8 months, we've been investigating a large criminal organization operating across multiple states in America and several provinces in Canada. It's a sophisticated network involved in smuggling, fraud, money laundering, and we suspect human trafficking, though we haven't been able to prove that last part yet. Lou felt her blood run cold. Human trafficking. Nathan was potentially connected to human trafficking? The organization is extremely careful. They use shell companies, encrypted communications, counter-surveillance techniques. We've had very limited success penetrating their operations because they're paranoid and well-trained. She pulled up a map showing highlighted areas across North America. About 3 weeks ago, we identified unusual activity concentrated around Alberta, Canada, specifically the Hudson area. Multiple indicators suggested this might be a hub for the smuggling operations we've been tracking. Shell companies with addresses in Hudson, financial transactions flowing through Alberta banks, shipments that seem to originate from or pass through that region. Lou's hands were shaking now. Hudson? Her home where Amy and Lindy lived with Nathan. We identified several persons of interest in the Hudson area based on property connections and financial patterns. Nathan Price was one of them. His family owns the Price Ranch, which appeared in our investigation as having unusual activity not consistent with legitimate agricultural operations. She pulled up a photo. Nathan's face stared out from the screen, an official photo from some document, his expression neutral. The surveillance documentation you've brought us confirms what we suspected but couldn't prove. Nathan Price is actively involved in criminal operations. The late-night meetings at warehouse locations, the counter-surveillance behavior, the regular patterns that matches exactly what we'd expect from someone involved in smuggling coordination. Lou felt like she might be sick. She'd known Nathan was hiding something. She'd suspected he was involved in something illegal. But this Minoris international criminal organization, smuggling, potential human trafficking, it was so much worse than anything she'd imagined.
My sister is living with him. My niece is living with him. Oh God. Are they in danger?
We don't have any indication that Nathan Price has been violent toward your sister or her daughter. His relationship with Amy appears to be part of his cover Mo's the respectable girlfriend, the legitimate family ranch, the appearance of normal domestic life. That's valuable to criminals who need to seem clean.
So he's using Amy? Using her as cover for criminal activity?
It's possible, or it's possible he genuinely cares for her in his own way while still being involved in illegal operations. People aren't always purely one thing or another, but yes, the relationship likely serves purposes beyond romance. Lou felt tears forming. Amy thought Nathan loved her, thought she'd found happiness after years of widowhood. But he'd been using her, manipulating her, making her a shield for his criminal activities. Miss Fleming, we need to move carefully here. If Nathan realizes we're investigating him, he could destroy evidence, flee, or Manta's worst case, become violent. Right now, he thinks he's operating successfully undercover. We want to keep it that way until we're ready to make arrests.
Arrests? You're going to arrest Nathan?
When we have enough evidence, yes. But we need to build an airtight case. The organization Nathan is part of is sophisticated and well-funded. They have good lawyers. If we move too soon with insufficient evidence, they could walk away free and we'd lose our chance to stop them. That's where you come in, Miss Fleming. You have personal connection to Nathan Price through your sister. You have knowledge of the family dynamics, access to information about Heartland and the surrounding area. If you're willing to work with us, you could provide intelligence that helps us build the case we need. Lou tried to process everything she was hearing. The FBI wanted her to be part of an investigation into an international criminal organization. They wanted her to help gather evidence against Nathan, the man who'd driven her away from her sister, who'd framed her and made her look crazy.
What would I need to do?
For now, continue what you've been doing. Document anything you observe or learn about Nathan's activities. Your private investigator friend did excellent work. We'd like that surveillance to continue if he's willing. And we need you to stay in contact with anyone in Hudson who might have information about Nathan.
My sister doesn't want to talk to me. Nathan made sure of that.
We understand, but there are other people in Hudson who might become valuable sources. The more intelligence we gather, the faster we can move to protect your sister and stop this organization. Lou sat back in her chair, overwhelmed. She'd walked in here hoping the FBI would take her seriously, maybe investigate Nathan independently. Instead, she'd discovered she was walking into a massive ongoing federal operation targeting international organized crime.
I'll do whatever you need. Just, please, keep Amy and Lindy safe.
That's our priority. But Miss Fleming, you need to understand something. The people Nathan is involved with are dangerous. Not just criminally involved, but genuinely dangerous. If they perceive threats to their operation, they eliminate those threats. You need to be extremely careful. No direct contact with Nathan. No confrontations. Everything you do needs to be discreet and safe. The warning sent chills down Lou's spine. She'd been thinking of Nathan as a manipulative boyfriend, someone psychologically dangerous. But the FBI was describing someone physically dangerous, connected to people who eliminate threats.
Does Nathan know you're investigating him?
We don't believe so. He's careful, but he doesn't seem to be running scared or destroying evidence. If he knew federal agents were building a case against him, we'd expect to see changes in his behavior. Lou thought about Amy sleeping beside Nathan every night. Completely unaware she was sharing a bed with someone, the FBI considered dangerous enough to warrant warnings about physical harm. We'll provide you with secure communication methods so you can report any intelligence you gather, and we'll brief you on what specific information would be most valuable to the investigation. They spent the next hour going over operational details, how Lou should communicate with the FBI, what kind of information to look for, safety protocols if she ever felt threatened. By the time the meeting ended, Lou's head was spinning with information and instructions. We'll coordinate our efforts with you going forward. You'll be provided with secure communication methods and regular briefings on the investigation's progress. The meeting ended with handshakes and Lou being given contact information for her FBI handlers. She walked out of the building in a daze, finding Georgie waiting anxiously on a bench outside. Well, what happened? Did they believe you?
They already knew, Georgie. They've been investigating Nathan for months. He's part of an international criminal organization. The FBI wants me to help them gather evidence.
Georgie's eyes went wide with shock as Lou filled her in on everything she'd learned. By the time Lou finished, Georgie looked as shaken as Lou felt. Aunt Amy is living with someone the FBI is investigating? Oh my God, Lou. This is so much bigger than we thought.
I know.
After a few days, Lou sat on Georgie's couch, sipping on her coffee. During that briefing, the agent had mentioned coordinating with other sources but hadn't specified who. Lou needed to know, who were they? Right now, anyone in Hudson who might help, anyone who'd seen through Nathan's facade, is important. Suddenly, Lou got a call from someone. She was expecting someone, Ashley. Last night, Georgie told her that they were trying to reach out to her. She was wondering if it was them, because the way they were saying they had something important to talk about Nathan. She was half convinced. Hello? Ashley told Lou everything. They talked for another 30 minutes, sharing information, coordinating their efforts, finding strength in knowing they weren't fighting alone anymore. By the time the call ended, Lou felt simultaneously more hopeful and more terrified than before. She had allies now, people who believed her, who were working toward the same goal. The FBI was building a case that would finally expose Nathan and stop the criminal organization he was part of. But the more she learned about Nathan, about the scope of his crimes, about the dangerous people he was connected to, the more terrified she became for Amy and Lindy. The episode ended on Lou sitting alone in Georgie's apartment as evening fell over New York City. In her hands was the folder of evidence she'd brought to the FBI. In it, evidence that had opened doors to an investigation far bigger and darker than she'd imagined. Lou stared at Nathan's photo, seeing him with new eyes now. Not just a manipulative boyfriend, not just a controlling presence in Amy's life, but a genuine criminal, part of an organization involved in smuggling and possibly human trafficking, connected to violent people who eliminated threats. And Amy had no idea. She was sleeping beside him every night, trusting him, believing he loved her, completely unaware she was living with someone this dangerous. Lou's face showed the crushing weight of that knowledge. Agent Morrison's words echoed in her mind. If Nathan realizes we're investigating him, he could become violent. Your sister and her daughter are in potential danger every day they're with him. We need to move quickly. But how quickly was it quick enough? How much time did they have before something went terribly wrong? Lou didn't know. All she knew was that 3 separate investigations were converging on Nathan Price. Federal agents were building a case against an international criminal organization, and somewhere in Hudson, Alberta, Amy Fleming was living in danger she didn't even know existed. The race to save her was on. And Lou Fleming, despite being driven away and painted as the villain, had never stopped fighting for her sister. She wasn't gonna stop now. That concludes today's episode. Lou traveled to New York where Georgie lives and took Marcus's surveillance evidence to the FBI New York field office. To her shock, the FBI took her case extremely seriously. They'd been investigating a large international criminal organization for months, and Nathan Price had emerged as a suspect in Alberta operations. Lou's evidence provided crucial confirmation they desperately needed. The FBI asked Lou to join the investigation officially, and she agreed. During the briefing, Lou learned someone else had also been investigating Nathan and working with the FBI. 3 separate investigations, all targeting the same dangerous man. The FBI revealed the full scope, not just local smuggling but an international network with violent people who eliminate threats. Lou was terrified realizing Amy lives with someone this dangerous. After the meeting, Lou called Ashley and Caleb. They shared their experiences, coordinated efforts, found strength and unity. The episode ended with Lou processing everything she'd learned. Nathan isn't just manipulative, he's genuinely dangerous, connected to organized crime, and Amy has no idea. Federal agents are building a case, but will they move quickly enough to protect Amy and Lindy? Join us next time as the investigations continue closing in on Nathan. If this episode showed you the true stakes, please like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cowboys and Cattle.